Hi guys, thanks for coming to my video. Today you are going to learn how to write a research proposal. So one of the first things you're going to want to ask yourself is why is it even important that you write this research proposal? Um, well, you probably want to get your study nationally approved and published, and doing this you would be able to secure more funding so you can actually continue the research that you're interested in. Both very important components to be able to continue your research. Now, every research proposal is going to have specific components that every single research proposal is going to have. And if you don't include these components, people are not going to take you seriously. So the first component is to have a really strong introduction, and this is where you're going to include your hypothesis, your reasoning for why you believe your hypothesis, and how previous studies led you to this hypothesis that you're now believing. And for the next component is the method section. And this is where you're going to state which research design you used if you're doing an experiment, longitudinal, whatever your research design is. You also want to include who your participants are, and I personally like to include how I found them and their demographics. You also want to include all the materials that you are going to use, whether you're using intelligence testing, self-reports, questionnaires. You just want to make sure that you include all that in your method section. For the next component is your procedure, and this is the most important part of your research proposal, because if someone is going to replicate your study, they should be able to read your procedure and know exactly what to do after reading it. So you want to be very specific just in stating what your participants are actually doing in your experiment. And for your results section, you just need to include your data analyses and which test you conducted, so how you found your data. So whether you're using ANOVAs, pairwise, multiple regressions, whatever. You can also include why you wanted to conduct these tests, but I personally don't find it that necessary. And most importantly, you want to state whether or not your data was consistent with your hypothesis, because that's the whole reason for your research. And last but not least, you have your discussion section, and this is where you want to restate your original hypothesis and whether or not your results were consistent with your hypothesis. And whether or not they are consistent, you still want to mention what the possible implications are and whether this is new evidence or it supports old theories, whatever. And that is it. Those are all the components, and now you're able to write a research proposal and hopefully get a lot of funding for whatever it is you are researching. Great job!